I'm joining from two different devices. So I'm connecting my this thing also, keyboard. Sorry, my laptop.
Hi, Madhu.
Hello, sir. Good morning. Is my sharing visible? Yeah, correct.
Are you presenting e-Yantra first?
Yeah. So we have a online live session also going on. Uh, I'll present this.
In fact, let me just present then.
All right.
Yeah, I request to start, sir.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You can start, right? Hello,
Hello.
am I audible?
Yeah. Your voice is a little muffled. Otherwise, you're audible.
Yeah,
Not
who's
able to
that?
figure out what you're saying. This is Ratin, sir.
Okay. Ratin, I can hear you.
Yes. Wel welcome everyone. So today we are going to have a technical session on blender automation tool. So Mandu will take over the session. Before we go to Mandu, I would like to invite Principal Investigator Professor Kavi Arya to introduce our eLSI, the Lab Setup Initiative, and into talk about eLSI and its achievement. So, sir, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Ratin. Madhu, I'll take 5 minutes to
Sure,
acquaint the
sir.
audience here with e-Yantra. I think it's
Correct.
good to
Yeah,
contextualize
yeah.
everything. So,
We
guys,
can
I'll
add
just
briefly.
speak to you a little bit about where we are coming from and what Madhu and the content that he'll be explaining to you is actually a part of. So, if I share my screen here, I hope you can see it. Do you see this?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Acha. Are you seeing the strip on top or is that hidden?
Now we done.
Now hidden, great. Anyway, so this is what it's about. eYantra is more than teaching just individual subjects and all that. It's about creating a mindset amongst students. So let me just talk to you a little bit about what eYantra is all about. The whole point is that we need to make students much more employable than they are by either turning them towards higher degrees, improved placements, and encouraging them to do startups and stuff like that, because that's where all the action is. So what we need is this change of the way you guys think, basically, where you need to subject everything to the scrutiny of reason. We need to turn you into people who are more curious, and we need to help you learn, because the half-life of knowledge has become very short now. Anything that you learn now, within 5 or 6 years time, its importance is greatly reduced, right? If you've learned a language now, you'll have to learn some more languages in a few years time. So it's much more important to be able to learn new stuff. And that's what Yantra is all about. And most of the training is concept based, where you have to learn skills in technologies that we introduce you to. And we've got a large experience of this, doing it through the eYantra competition, which has been going for the last 10 years, and lots of countries. You learn lots of technical skills, life skills like teamwork and time management and all these kind of things. So the problems we give every year are called themes. Okay, so let me just show you a little bit. So what we do very often, we train you first in a simulator, at scale, and the people who do well inside the simulator are actually let loose on a real arena, a real robotic arena. Here's a robotic fish.
Hello.
Right? And here you have a simulator, a drone in a simulator, and here you have a drone, actual drone. We work with nano drones. Right, here you are, and so on. So that's the kind of stuff that we do, and the numbers of students who participated in the competition has been increasing from about 4,000 in 2012, as you can see, to about 35,000 almost in 2019. COVID has given it a bit of a hit, but is beginning to pick up again. Okay, and this is what the students say. Hitesh, for instance, got into a graduate robotic program in CMU, in Carnegie Mellon University, and he believes that it's because of e-Yantra he's got there. We have others like him, like for instance, Kaushik, who's got into CMU also into the master's program, and he says it would not have been possible if it was not for the e-Yantra experience. We have people like Shruti Joshi, who's from IIT Lucknow, who's first joined Amazon, and now she's in Google India, and she says all my programming skills are due to e-Yantra, and so on. A number of participants in the competition have taken the skills that they've learned with us, and they've done startups. Like Suraj Vodiyar has done a sewer cleaning startup in Bangalore. Muthu Vangaliappan has done a mobile robots and a security-based startup. Abhishek Acharya has done a mine surveying startup, and so on. Okay, so lots of cool stuff happening as a result of their engagement.
I like e-Yantra a lot because in this you can actually practically implement things. It's very different from the theoretical knowledge that we learn. For example, we have studied control system in our course, but when we actually tune our drone using ROS, it was entirely different. How the KP, KD, KI are actually affecting the drone, what is its transfer function.
Earlier, the projects were just for the sake of examination, but now projects are, they are thinking as a out product, final product, furnished product. So that is the biggest achievement for our college by setting up this eLSI, that students are thinking for end product, sellable products or patentable product.
I personally like e-Yantra a lot.
So we've used this principle in schools also, but I won't go into details of that here. Right? Let me just come to the end. So the learnings are, we've realized that the project-based learning that we do with students, it complements the existing very rote-based education system that we have. It doesn't conflict, it complements it. It's very scalable because we use open source software, we use a lot of online interaction, and it gives a level playing field. Like we found that students from a remote polytechnic, APC Rai Polytechnic in West Bengal, who have very little resources, because of e-Yantra and the way that we trained them, they were able to come to the finals after beating IIT people and NIT people. It shows that when you give our students a level playing field, they do really amazing things. And we teach not only hard skills like STEM and technology and all that, we teach soft skills like teamwork, collaboration, time management, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff we do. We've done that with schools. We've done that with
equation and give them
Earlier, I used
schools, we teach them an equation and give.
So this is in summary, right? What we like to develop in both school students and college students and all that is a very scientific temper. We like to create a kind of problem solving mindset. We make them very risk friendly, because one of the biggest things that in our society is that we are very afraid to fail. As a result, we never take any risks. So our students, we find when they work with us, they have a risk-friendly attitude. They learn how to deal with failure. Failure is not I have failed. Failure means that, okay, this idea has failed. Let's try some other ideas. And this is really what's needed in an entrepreneur. And then you learn lots of other skills. So basically, we are trying to create we got some people quite excited in the in the audience. So basically, this is what we do, right? We train you in skills which are very complementary to entrepreneurship, to doing higher degrees and stuff like that. And what Madhu is going to take you through today is an instance of one example of the kind of skills that you will develop if you engage in an e-Yantra initiative. Madhu, I'll just leave the floor open for some questions in case anybody wants to ask, and then I'll hand the floor over to you.
Yes, sir.
So everybody here is here to learn Blender and Blender only today, right?
Yeah, I assume, yeah.
Okay,
That
are
is
there any
why.
non-engineering students here? So everybody is an engineering student? Are there any people who've participated in any e-Yantra initiative until now? Yeah. Who's that? Okay, let's
So Vasu, Megha, they have participated, I guess.
Vasu and Megha. Megha, would you like to unmute your video and tell us what you're taking part in or what you have taken part
So
in?
we were the part of the teachers task-based training, and we were. I mean, we got a plus grade in that, and we were awarded with two robots. This Firebird 5 robots, along with the
Okay, excellent. Which
which we
college are you in?
purchased. Sir, we are from Vidyavardhini, Vasai.
Oh, excellent. Any of your students here?
Yeah, students have also joined, sir.
Okay. Would any of the students like to just unmute themselves?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, who's that?
So this is Parth Shirish Baradia from Vidyavardhani Vasai, first year
Okay.
student, and really looking forward to learn great things here in the e-Yantra initiative.
Okay, great. So I think without much ado, then I shall step aside and give the floor to Madhu to start his Blender uh, course that he wants to give you today. And Madhu, it'll be nice if you contextualize the course. And today is a short, sharp workshop.
Mhm.
And after this, what is there on the menu for them? Over to you, Madhu.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Just an interruption, Madhu. I will take just 1 minute. There is an announcement actually. So there will be in-session and post-session quiz or feedback poll, you can say. So this link will be posted in the chat box. So all the participants are requested to fill it up as soon as they get the link. And the quiz is the basis whether you will get the certificate or not. So we'll test your what you have learned from the session as well as your attentiveness with this quizzes. So just remember the email which you have used during the registration. Please use the same email ID so that we can track. So that's it. That's about the announcement. And now over to you, Madhu. You can start.
I'll just add there, Madhu, that it's not e-Yantra culture to give certificates for free, right? Just because you attend, it doesn't mean you get a certificate. We'd like to know that you understood something, so there's a little quiz at the end. So, having said that, I'll hand over the floor to Madhu. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi everyone. So I see we have 75 participants over here. So I think 4 or 5 of them are from eYantra and the rest are over there. So it's a good place to start. So my name is Madhu. I graduated from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, in 2017, and then I graduated as Masters in Design from IIT Bombay, IDC. So as I was in the architectural field, in my architectural school, I was part of I constantly took part in making 3D models. So I had a good grasp on a lot of things basically. So from 2013, I think I've been like doing visualizations and 3D modeling, and I've gone through so many softwares, So there was SketchUp in the beginning because it was very easy to learn. Then we during the product designing time in my master's, I did Rhino because it gave you precise machine-made models, like very precise models. But now I've shifted to Blender. So the reason why that is, SketchUp was owned by Google in the beginning, so it was free for everyone. Now it has gone to some other company, and then now they're charging some money for that. Same thing with Rhino. So you can use all of that while you're in an academic setting. So you have educational versions of the same thing that is to train the students on that specific software. But once you get into a professional field, you have to pay money, some sort of a fee to use that software. So then I stumbled into Blender. So apparently Blender's UI UX was really bad in the beginning. And it very recently in 2019, they revamped the entire interface, and now it has been comparatively easier to work on Blender. So why are we stressing on Blender a lot is because it is open source and anybody can basically download and start working on it. Uh, there are a few things that we need to take care of. I'll go along it as time passes. Uh, so yeah, all you need to have is a decent laptop, a good internet connection, and that's about it. And you can, with dedicated time and effort, you can become good at Blender. Even I am learning. It took me a while to learn Blender. So the focus of this talk is to not show you how to work with Blender, but how to resource uh, the information from the internet to become good at Blender. All right. But before that, so I joined eYantra a year back, almost a year. So we did a competition called eLSI, like Dream Lab Design Sprint. So what is a Dream Lab Design Sprint? Have some of you taken part in it? Any of you? So in that competition, the premise was that you are going to create the interior of your eLSI lab in your college. So a lot of people took part, and I want to show you what they have done. So let me just join and share my screen. Uh, so there will be a few things which I want to go through in this talk. So the first thing I want to show you guys is we obviously are going to learn Blender, but we are also going to learn a few other complementary softwares which are also free. So basically, no money needs to be spent while you are working with these things. Let me just do this very quickly. So I've also created a list of resources for you guys, so you can basically go ahead. So I'll just give you a little understanding about what we did during the competition. So we had a competition, and then I had to show our like participants what design is all about and how you can go about designing the interiors of any space. So there are a few steps that you have to take care of. So if you follow those methodologies, you will at least begin making the interiors of the thing, all right, of the space. So I'll just share, like I'll start this presentation from the middle slideshow. So this is the ERTS lab, Embedded Real-Time Systems Lab in IIT Bombay. So yeah, so I wanted to take inspiration from somewhere. So design, it is always inspired by some other design. So the theory is nothing is original in this world. Everything has been created by some other person by looking at some other thing. You always get inspired by everything. So I started by narrating my design journey. Like if I was told to go design a space, so where do I draw my inspiration from? So I drew my inspiration from IIT itself. There are few other things that you can do, like I'll show you very quickly. So IIT looks like this, all right. This was during the rainy season. It's all very lush and green, and sometimes it's moisture is in the air. There is fog also. It's very nice. So this is basically dry right now, but during rainy season, it comes to life like a forest and all of that. So you keep walking towards the eLSI college, sorry, eLSI lab. So you rise up this staircase, walk through that door, you enter into this atrium like space. This has a huge space like this because there is a auditorium right next to it. Okay, and this is the beginning of the eLSI lab. So those two uh, doors which you see are the eLSI doors. Uh, so this is the typical plan of the eLSI lab which we have at IIT Bombay. Okay, this is me going around and clicking all the photos of eLSI, and I've also labeled them in a way. See, so that I have a track on which photo represents which position in the space. This is not to scale, right? Like in this, it's a schematic plan, right? So it's just a scheme of things, of how things are placed. I think somebody, Srinivas, your mic is active. So this is the entrance to the ERTS lab. So I did a little what do you say, analysis of how things are. So we'll just quickly go through it. This is you enter and you see this Srinivas, hi. Yeah, thank you. So anyways, you go inside and you enter into this lobby space. There are two sofas on the left. There are some working desks which have turned into a pantry on the right. There's a storage in the front. So some analysis on what things are. You enter into this uh, almirahs, drawers, all the things are kept like that, correct? So you go about, you figure out where the switchboards are. So this is basic typical architectural workflow. So whenever somebody comes and tells you, please do our interiors, some architects. So the first thing the architects do is basically go figure out what things are. They do a measured drawing. They go holding a tape and like measuring everything and all of that. So I didn't do that because uh, our intention was to visualize the changes which are going to come. If somebody told me that we're actually going to implement those changes, then I'll go about and redo all of this with measured drawings, everything to the T basically. So all of this. So you go around, you see all of this. There are people over here. So Ashish is our colleague at e-Yantra. He handles inventory. He always needs a lot of space to work with. So you see our space, it keeps adapting to things, all right? So why am I telling you all of this? So I want you to understand that Blender is just a tool. So if you don't have a goal, you will not be able to use the tool. So I'm trying to establish the goal on which we worked on so that when I show you the results, so you have some kind of a context of things. So we were sending out lab in a box to our eLSI colleges. So this is the place where we stack things, we check everything, we package stuff. So our lab basically becomes a dispatch unit for all the eLSI colleges in our country. Uh, so you see there are like two windows at the back. So there is no sunlight which comes from there. So India is placed geographically in a manner where north north side walls, the sunlight doesn't come in. So a lot of people have used this to make skylights and give large openings on the north side. But in this side, you will see. So I'll just keep going ahead. Let me not go in too much depth because our objective is different here. So this is how everything is, right? So you see all of this is happening. I'll just quickly go ahead and this is all the settings, everything. So this is also because people left after COVID and nobody was in the lab. So that's why it's a little disorganized. So if you see the colors that we have over here, let me just move this. So the colors are all very brown in shade, correct? So these are color analysis which you do of the scene. Like what kind of colors do you want to see when you enter into the space? Uh, Observations, we'll skip observations for now. So there is this software called AppSpy. So what it does is basically collects the information on what focal length, what is the perspective lines of the photo that you took, and it creates all these information, uh, horizontal, vertical, XYZ coordinates, and all of that. We don't need to get into all of that. But then you can use this information in and import the image into your Blender file, Blender environment, and then start building on top of the image. So this was super handy because this is a very simple technique. You will get intense amount of resources on YouTube. Because Blender is free and open source, there are insane amount of resources out there. It's like I have seen people make a career out of Blender tutorials. So uh, so this is how it looks. So the camera has the image in it. So when you move away from the camera, you will not see it. But when you put the view in the like through the camera, then you'll see the image also. Okay. So then you keep modeling, keep adding stuff to that same model. You add materials to it, and this is how it looks. So then this thing turns into a virtual scene. Okay, so this is how you keep building. Then you keep building some more. You see all these smaller cameras. So these are all the images which I took, which I showed you guys right now. So you can using the same workflow, you can select all these images, put it through AppSpy, generate the AppSpy files, and import them in Blender. And then it will give you all these nice placements of the camera. Why am I doing this? It's because I don't want to measure everything. I don't have time for all of that. What I need is a visualization of how the change is going to happen. So this was the fastest way to do it. All I have to do is like go click photos, come to Blender and do everything sitting at one place. Okay. And you keep building on the environment, you keep adding stuff, you keep adding objects to it. You see some little lightings and happening. So all of this, and then this is how it looks. So now I have created all the four walls which are confined and make the ERTS lab. So if you remember my schematic plan, it looks something similar to this. So the storage is over here. This is the entrance. The two sofas in the beginning were kept over here. You go into this. And so I put also a human over here. It is very important that you put a human in your model because that helps understand the scale of things, correct? You can um, like scale the environment bigger or smaller depending on the human. You will not change the human model, but the whole environment will can be scaled up and down so that you can fit the human. I'll show you that when I go in. So principles of design, I will just move ahead. So these are a few things. Let me just go quickly. So these are a few things which you can do. You can play with textures. Okay, this is one way of doing things. As designers, as interior designers, you have a few tricks up your sleeve, if I may say so. So you can play with textures, you can play with colors. So like you pick a scene which you like. So this reminded me of the image which I showed you when I was walking towards the ERTS lab in IIT Bombay. So it reminded me of that. It's a little yellow in color. It's very warm. So in color, there is something called color theory. So there are cool colors, there are warm colors. Warm colors make you more energetic. Cool colors make you a little cold, a little clinical. So all of that. So I tended towards warmer colors because the ERTS lab or the eYantra lab, it has an essence to it, correct? The essence is that people will come and discuss ideas, they'll work on things together, they will also have fun while working on things. So we have to create an environment which uh, enables these kind of this kind of energy, correct? So these energies, so I don't want them to like sit at one place and like not talk to people. So you put warm colors, you put orange, you put yellow, all these things. So uh, so you try all of these things. So in this, you see there are textures also, and there are patterns also. Uh, we'll go ahead. This is another example. So how can you extract these color palettes? So on the left, you see these are color palettes. You can extract any colors from any image of your liking and put them in the scene of your Blender. So this is not done in Blender. This is done in Photoshop. Uh, these are a few other examples of the same color palette applied to the same scene, but the mood changes, correct? The mood like completely changes altogether. Then you have tools like word cloud where you want to create a concept, but you want to see all the information together. And you want to create a mental map of all the information that you have. So these are a few things which you can do. So I made a whole map of the like I'm trying to create a, uh narration for my design. So these are a few ways how you can do all of that. Okay, I'll go. So these word clouds, then now these are just words, right? But as a designer, what you have to do is you have to absorb a lot of images. So if you see images, you see colors, you try to understand what kind of a feeling that brings you, correct? So like if you see over here, yellow-footed green pigeon is written over here, right? So how does it even look? So this is how it looks, correct? So now now you're turning a word cloud into image inspirations. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Someone is talking in between, I think so. It's distracting to us.
Uh, yeah, I know, but should I wait for them to? I
No,
think
sir,
it's
it's okay now.
Just
It's okay.
hold.
yeah.
We'll mute.
Okay, okay. All right. So I'll go ahead. So you're turning your word clouds into image inspirations. Okay. So these are some of the
Madhu,
images.
just 1 minute. I'll
Correct.
just mute all the participants. I'm not sure who is speaking. So I'll just mute all the participants and then I'll unmute you. Okay.
I think
Thank you.
Prahlad
Yeah,
is there, I think so.
I can continue now. Okay, I'll continue. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying this. It's going to be really long. Sorry, it's a very long session. Let me just go through this really fast, okay? Because we need to get into the thick of things. So image inspiration, butterflies, lots of colors. There are Ajanta and Ellora caves. So there's not a lot of color over here, but there are forms which you can be inspired from. Uh, so these are some sports which are played in Maharashtra. So I took Maharashtra as a key cultural center or the origin of my concept, correct? So all these things, there are Mumbai, there are flamingos. Flamingos come to Navi Mumbai. It's a stationary for place for migrating flamingos over there. There is IIT. Uh, there are shipyards, there are airport, transport, so many things. Like Mumbai is really bustling with lot of energy, correct? So how do we transport that into our inspiration? So these are few other things like the Tiger Reserve, which we have in Maharashtra. So the new ARTS lab, it's something looks like this, okay? So I'll show you the back end of all of this, but this is the entrance to the place. Like if you remember the previous one and the new one, so you see there's a difference in how things are happening. This is the lobby area. This is how you enter into the central space. I have removed the storage altogether because I thought we should need a larger lobby area because that is where people would sit and talk and at least have a handshake kind of a meeting with uh, people coming in and outside. So I'll quickly move through this because I can show you these things in a before and after manner. Uh, so this is all done in Blender and the lightings are done in Blender. The one good thing about Blender is it has its own rendering engine, so you don't have to go to another software altogether. So like SketchUp or Rhino, you had to install another software so that you can have all these colors, all these lights coming in. But in Blender, everything is like. So this is a before after. This is the center of the presentation. So before it looked like this. It's all gray, it's all dark. Um, uh, like so now it's all very vibrant. So I put the flamingos over here because like the flamingos, they migrate through space and time and they come to Mumbai and they settle for some time, they rest, they rejuvenate and they leave. So this felt, I felt a little connection in that sense because uh, IIT Bombay as an institution is just a phase of life for all the students, correct? And I saw these students as flamingos who basically migrate through their life. They just come to IIT Bombay, they rejuvenate, they learn something new, and then they move on to greater things to achieve larger situations. So that's why we have flamingos over here, basically. This is the lobby area. Now the lobby area looks like this. Uh, so there's a giant TV where we can keep talking about new things or what's coming up in new. There are plants also over here. So it's all green. So when you're entering from such lush green IIT environment into the indoors, and then you come into this green wall, which is right in front of you, then you feel like home, correct? You feel like you're still on the outsides. Uh, so on the right side, I have purposefully made a showcase kind of a situation with warm light, with wood. So what do you mean by warm light? So these lights, they generally represent the light of a fire. So in olden times, people used to sit around a fire and talk about the day, and they become intimate like that, no? So warm light basically goes and triggers that emotion in humans. So you can have that kind of environment over here. And also eYantra does so many new things. It's like there are so many robots that eYantra creates. There are books, there are games that we play, and so we can add all of that to our shelf so that any new person who is coming to eYantra at least has a lot of things to talk about. You can show them what you're doing, or they can tell you how they can help you out. So this kind of a space engages in conversation. Like uh, it's not a cafe. It doesn't look like a cafe because the chairs and tables are very uncomfortable. So you have very short meetings, but you have to the point meeting. You have meetings which make uh, work go ahead. Okay. Uh,
Sir, I can't hear you. I think you're muted now.
Madhu, you're muted. I
Madhu,
guess.
you're muted, I think. Madhu, can you hear us?
Chat में डालो chat.
Hello,
Hi, Madhu, can you hear us?
hello, am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's some.
You are audible.
You are audible.
Yeah. So
We lost
there's
you for
a.
last 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll put my phone on airplane mode. Okay. So now we go ahead. We see this other place, which is, of course, there are no lights over there. That's why it looks a little dingy. But now, if you see the whole, even changing the color of the walls will have a difference in the energy that the room will bring. The chairs are of different colors. So there is vibrancy which is happening. There is every corner is lit. There is no dark patches anywhere. You see on the
Excuse me,
right,
sir,
I
your
have
voice is
frosted
low.
glass.
Sir, your voice is low.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
I think it's pretty clear. We can hear it loud.
You
But
can
if
hear
you
it loud.
yeah, those who cannot hear it loud, then they can
Increase their volume. Yeah. Okay, are you guys with me till here? So before and after, we'll quickly go through this. How much time do we have? It's okay, 1 hour is already gone. Okay, we need to move ahead. So these are a few things. There is an arena in the center where line following robots can happen, and then that is it. So this is one way of doing things. So I did an analysis. I made this PPT, and I did all of this in Blender. I'll show you the back end of things. All right, how the model looks like. So this is the model over here. So I'll show you a few tips and tricks on how I made all of this. Are you guys really new to Blender? Like, who is like absolute beginners over here or have not heard about Blender altogether? So I wanted to understand who am I giving this presentation to. So this is an if this is an absolute beginner kind of a level presentation, then I have a few resources which you can use to at least start your journey in making things in Blender, correct? But it will take time. Okay, and 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hour session is not gonna cut it. It will take a little more time than that. Okay, so this is how things are. So with the mouse scroll, 1 second. How is this yeah, with mouse scroll, pressing down middle mouse button, you can scroll about. The whole model is like this. This is a toolkit on the left side. If I press T, it will go away. If I press T again on my keyboard, it will come back. I'll go into details later. And the focus is, now this is a huge project, okay? There is a lot of area which I have to cover. And there are a lot of articles also which are over there, and it lags your PC. If you don't have a decent PC, it is going to lag. So, but you can still go about making all of this in a decent PC. My PC was bought in 2014, my laptop, and it still is able to run Blender in a nice fashion. So there are tips and tricks on how to optimize your models to run in a low-end PC also. Okay, so let me just go to this top right and I'll select this material viewport thing. So it's going to take some time to collect all the information. And yeah, see, that is where it starts hanging because there are so many, so much information in this one particular model that it's going to take some time for it to render, get the information from different places. And also there are lights also. So lights are issue with us. They take a lot of calculations and all of that. Okay, some textures are missing. It's been a while, I guess. The one thing I wanted to show is basically how I optimize my models so that you can also do the same. So I've divided my models into, so this is the outliner where everything you have on the model is comes over here basically. So you can navigate through different objects on this. So I've divided my model into north, east, west, south walls. So if I turn off northeast, north wall, the whole of that wall has gone, correct? So that helps me move through this model and into places where I was not able to go before. Like east wall, if I hide it, the whole east wall has gone. And then I can go in, there is no hindrance or any of that. And also my PC was lagging by the time I finished this model. So I took like individual walls, hid everything else, worked on it in the material viewport. So let me just show you. If I press Z on my keyboard, Z, so you have these different pie chart over here on which you can select which mode do you want to see your model in. So right now it is in solid view. If I press material preview, Blender will hang a little. It will try to collect all the information which is associated with every object in that material, and then it will take some time to render it also. So many things are happening. But uh, if I hide parts of things and then I go and say ki, and the lights are in a different, ceiling lights are different. So I'll hide that also so that it doesn't need to render that. Wooden tables also, I'll hide that. Robot arm I'll hide, low poly human I'll hide. Floor we'll need, cubicles I can hide. So there is few things over here. So this is how you basically optimize. Okay, you have to be a little smart on how you handle things and understand the capabilities of your PC. Correct. So this is the back end of how the models are looking like, and I and I didn't render any of the images. They all are basically screenshots because rendering itself is going to take a nice amount of time. What rendering is basically so there is this option over here. This is called overlays. If you see top right, so if I click on it, you'll see all these things happening, which are very scary to look at, but they actually are not. They're just rays. They show the kind of lights which where they are, where they're pointing at. So like this specific, oh, it hung already. See, so okay, let me stop this model and go and make a separate model altogether. Okay. Oh, it started moving. So this vertical garden itself has like 5, 6 lights and then 5, 6 more. So about like 10, 20 lights on this. So that there is even lit and all of that. Anyways, so all of this. So this is how you navigate when you have a large model. Okay. So I'm gonna turn this off and I will show you a PPT right now. Okay, so now we are entering into how to go about Blender. Okay, let's take a 2-minute break because it's a lot of information. So I told you about what the design intentions were, how to go about creating design concepts. I told you about extracting color swatches. I've told you about creating word clouds. I've told you about image inspirations. I showed you how analysis is made of any space. So all of that is done. Okay. So now we will take like a 2-minute break. So I'll just come back. All right. Ratan, is it all right to take a 2-minute break?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Sure. See you in 2 minutes.
In this break, those who haven't filled it yet, they can fill the in-session feedback poll. The link has been posted in the chat box.
Hello, Madhu. Hello, Madhu.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do one. You stop the sharing and restart sharing. Okay. And meanwhile, if you get any request for annotation, please do not accept it. You can decline that.
Acha, should I restart my screen share?
Yeah.
Okay.
And from future, from next onwards, you don't accept the annotation request unless it's
Okay.
from any Yantra member.
All right. Thank you. So yeah. Hi, welcome back. Sorry, I had to take a small break. It's very difficult to talk for so long. So let's get into Blender right now, okay? Now, what is this session about? Let me just talk to you about that a little. This session is not about trying to learn Blender in 1 hour. That this session is definitely not that. I will show you what my workflow is in Blender because I found that to be very efficient in that manner. But I will give you all the resources which will tell you uh, how to go about Blender. It will give you a more comprehensive idea about how things are happening. Okay? So hands on Blender. Hello everyone. We are at the center of things now. So we have a eLSI team, and they took part in. Before all of that, I should definitely show you what our. sorry, 1 second. Yeah, no, not this. Let me definitely show you what our teams look like, correct? The people who have given the submission. So I gave this talk to the people who are taking part in our competition, and they created this. So this is the team which won the competition altogether, and this is how they created. So this is a before and after of their lab. Okay, all this is done in Blender. The lighting. But I need to warn you, these people had a few, like they're not beginners, but they're like intermediate level of Blender. And there were 4 people in each team. So this is definitely not one person's work. So what you have to understand is to understand and make the space more readable, you have to put a lot of assets. You have to think about lighting. You have to think about the color schemes, how much space is being provided, all these things. Okay. So this is all done by our, yeah, I'll just move. They also made an animation for us. Is it moving? So this is because of lag that is happening. They also put an arena like I had made in my design. So they took inspiration from a peacock, so that's why they have a huge peacock on their wall also. So pretty cool, very impressive. These were other things like that. And I'll show you after that, the winner, the top 8 people were told to make like do internship with us, and this is one of the teams which created the drone exterior shell uh, of the uh, so we have a drone, and then we first time ever we had a design internship, and then these people came and made this for us. As soon as it opens, I'll show it to you. Yeah. Yeah. So this was done by our design intern at eYantra. So design internship, this is all done in Blender, everything. It is very difficult to believe that this is a free software over there. Okay? So take advantage of Blender as much as possible. It will take you time to become a master in Blender, no doubt about that. But there are a few channels which are there. Like for example, this guy creates this entire model in 35 minutes. All you have to do is like keep following what they're doing. But this is an intermediate level thing. Uh, there is this person, if you know who this person is, he goes by the name Blender Guru, and he teaches you UV unwrapping. Like if you have some kind of an image, uh, HDRIs, uh, setting up preferences. I should go in this manner actually. 1 second. So beginners, architectural. How do I move this? Dada, how do I move this?
Click on the other, yeah, in the screen. Wait. Click on the screen.
Here. Oh. Anyways, yeah. So this is a tutorial on how FSpy is being used. This is all the modifiers which Blender has to offer. This is how to install Blender if you want to know. This is the Blender fundamentals. This is a YouTube channel of Blender who teaches you about the UI UX of Blender and how to go about things. Uh, Shortcuts, because Blender is all about shortcuts and optimization. Even when I'll show you my workflow, there is going to be amazing amount of shortcuts. So you better sit with a notebook or something like that and like start doing things. So these are really simple things which you can start uh, working with. So I've created this entire resource for you guys. So yeah, Ratin sir, how do we share this with them?
Yeah, one thing we can mail it up, or you can give permission and share the link here in the chat box.
How about I share it with you and you can do this?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just do that very quickly. So now you guys have a kickstart on at least this.
RT8.
Yeah. Editor send, no? Yeah, send. So Ratin Dada will give that to you. So, okay, enough for walking around the bush. Now we can basically go and do something about the thing. Let's go to the hands-on with Blender. Okay, back to the slide. So we have a college at Karnataka, and then what they have done is they reached out to us saying ki we need some training in Blender, and so please tell us how to do. So I told them to first of all you go ahead and measure the room in which you want to create. So this is the plan they came up with. They were so nice. They uh, even made a schedule of opening. So this is a very common practice in architecture. Every architectural drawing has this, where doors and windows have been labeled and they have dimensions, how high they are from the floor, and all of that. So all this thing has been done by them. Nice, and they also provided some of the photos of their lab. So this is how their eYantra lab looks like. So they have one large window. Because the sun is coming inside, we know for sure that this is not north. Okay. So this, if the sun is coming in this direction, and it should be a south wall. Okay. And on the left and the right, there are other rooms also. This is a sandwiched room. There is one wall on one side. There is another wall, a door on the other side with a aluminium partition. This is the aluminium partition. That is the main door. This is the only entry and exit point to the entire thing. What you'll notice is that this room is not very big. Okay. There are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 people can use this room, I guess. So the inference is directly that we need to optimize the space. As architects, there are functionality is also a part of how you go about things. So one thing we can do is maybe give us like storages and all of that. So there is a almirah also. So we can completely remove this almirah if we give like proper storage. And this door is not doing anything to us as of now. So maybe we can use the entire wall, assuming that the door will never be opened. So one way of doing that, there are ventilations on top. So there will be 6 ventilations. There is one column which breaks the one uniform surface. So that's an issue because we could have had one long table, but that's fine. And this is what you see when you come out of the wall, out of the room, and you see this thing in front. Okay, so these are some softwares which we are going to use. So Blender is obviously there. There's something called PureRef. What is PureRef? Uh, PureRef is this basically. So it is a mood board making software. All you have to do is open. I'll just show you how to work with this very quickly. I'll zoom out. AppSpy I already spoken about, and Photopea is a free version of Photoshop. So Photoshop is Adobe. Adobe takes money. Then you go through other channels to get a software. But Photopea is an online service which you don't even have to install. All you have to do is photopea.com on your web browser, and then you have all the access to all the kind of tools to manipulate images like Photoshop. Okay, these are some things which I have to show you and all of that. So these are my personal thing. So in an ecosystem of these free softwares, you can create like nice, beautiful things. That is the objective. So let's see what we have over here. So I was showing you this, but I'll show you Pinterest. So you guys know about Pinterest. So it is like its logo is a pin and it is a P also. So Pinterest is basically a place where you create mood boards and you can select a few things. For example, but I'll show you very quickly. I'll just do this. If I like this image, I'll just drag and drop it here. This is pure ref. It'll load image. Come on, load. And then it will basically create yeah, so there you go. You can scale it, do whatever you want. You can arrange them in clusters, basically make mood boards for yourself. So for example, I made a mood board over here of the window which we have in our lab, in that small area. So I was assuming maybe some idea could be to optimize the space. How about we create a bench which itself is a storage space? So this was the idea. And basically you see there are these are all like domestic examples, but they can also be very something like this maybe. So two people can sit and do all that. Okay. So let's try making this in one wall. Okay, because in the interest of time, we will do only one wall. I'll show you one other thing. So last night I sat and created the entire thing in Blender. I have also put HDRI in it. I have put a human scale also in it. So this human guy, it came from this person's video. Okay, which one? I think this one. Yeah, this person in his links, you have CCO, human scale reference model over here. So you go here, you download, you put him over here, and that is how. So I'll just quickly go through all these things. So Blender, the first thing is the title bar, so nothing there. This is the version splash screen about Blender and all of that. I'll just move this. So these are the files and the typical drop down menu that you have. So you'll spend most of your time, at least in the beginning, in preferences. So if you have preferences, you go through all of this. There are add-ons. Like for example, I installed the FSpy add-on yesterday night. So therefore it is open to FSpy. You to know more about FSpy, there is a video in the resource which I given to you. So let me just go through these things. So a Blender is made out of viewports. So each of these squares which you see is a viewport. Basically, it is in a grid. So you can basically make it big, small, up, down. This can go up and down. So you can create any kind of configuration of your liking. There are a few which Blender automatically gives you. Very specific to the workflow which you follow. So layout modeling is like this. Even the viewport settings are changed. Sculpting will have like different tools also. So sculpting will have different tools. It's the same model, but the tools are different. UV editing is something else. So we'll spend most of our time in the beginning stages of learning Blender over layout and modeling only. Okay, mostly layout and nothing more. So you see these two floating cameras over here. So they are bought from FSpy. Let me quickly go through the interface. So these are the viewports that are available to you. Okay. So I can turn this into any other thing like texture node, for example. So this turns into a texture node viewport. I can go back and say 3D viewport and we'll come back to 3D viewport. It is a very small icon on the top left, but it is amazingly powerful. That is why it is on the top left. Okay. This is the object mode, which people like. So if you add any kind of an object, let me just create a scene. Okay. There is a scene also over here. Okay. Uh, you don't have to get into it in the beginner level, but these are a few things which you keep working on Blender. So every information is given all at the same time in Blender. That is why there is a little navigation issue. But understand ki all you have to do is understand how to do file import export, uh, set preferences and make some sort of a model, all right? So I'll just make a new scene for myself. New. Okay, there is nothing over here. So this is what you get in when you open a new Blender file, correct? So there are a few things that we need to understand. So I'm in the So this is object type visibility. Everything is selected at the moment. This is basically all the navigation tools which are on the right, which have gone away. So if you click on that, this is something which hides all the invisible things, which basically render view, no render view, render view, no render view. So how do you add objects to this environment? So you have to press Shift A and then you have a list of things that you can add to this environment. So first of all, I'll add a cube. So this is called a default cube. Whenever you open Blender, you will get this. So if I go back and turn off overlays, everything is gone away. And you see the cube is floating in the air right now. So that's like that. Anyways, so I'll delete this by pressing delete on my keyboard. Uh, so I'll go and select the bold this thing, solid view. So this is wireframe, solid, material preview, and render preview. Go to render preview only when you're sure, if you have a very weak laptop, or when you're if you are very few if your model is not very big, you can still work on this thing. And if you press that drop down icon over there, so there is so many other things over there, but don't worry about all of that. Okay. For now, we will only work with a wire mesh, solid view, and material preview. Okay. These are the only three things which we'll work with. So I'm going for solid preview. So now I have to import the FSpy FSpy thing, FSpy file into our Blender thing. So I have FSpy already opened up. So how to install FSpy? There is a resource there. And how to work FSpy also, there is a resource over there also. Okay. So I will not go into details on how to use FSpy, but I will. So this is how you do it. Basically, the general overview is you uh, select all of these axes, you put them in corners. If you press Shift and move about, so it will zoom in, and I'm pressing Shift right now. Okay. And I'm also dragging with the left mouse button. So you can basically fine tune it and put it at some place. And then you file and save as, and you save it in a folder where you can later on extract in the Blender file. So I'll go to Blender. I'll go to File. There is an import. You have to basically go to Preferences first. Go to Add-ons. You'll select Install, and there is this file called FSpy Blender 1.0.3. Okay, be very careful. There are two files on the internet. FSpy Blender Master. This will not work for newer versions of Blender. But if you go for FSpy Blender dash 1.0.3, this is the file which is going to work for you. So this is a add-on which is not part of Blender yet. So you have to download it separately. It is a zip file. And how do you install add-ons? You go to Preferences. I'll just go back again. Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Install, go to the place where you have saved FSpy Blender 1.0.3, click on it, install add-on. I have installed it all together, so I'm not going to do that. And then you basically, it'll do all of that tam jam. And then you can refresh and then search for FSpy. Even if you type FSpy, something like this will come. All you have to do is like click it, and then it has been enabled. So now you have FSpy software, which is this, which is a separate entity altogether. And then you have FSpy Blender importer. So FSpy creates a file, and you can now import that in your Blender file. So you go to File, you say Import, and at the very bottom you see there is an FSpy. So it basically recognizes FSpy files. So I'll go here. So I had already created two views from FSpy. One is the window view and one is the door view. So I'm going to work on the window view because we have a mood board already made for it. So window view, import project, and here. Okay. Where is our camera? I didn't think it. Import, FSpy, window view, import project. Finish setting up camera. No, this isn't like that. It's not coming up. So let me go to the one which I made earlier. Yeah. So you see what happens is one. Yeah. So if I see this is the camera. So what if I press 0 on my number pad and I hide everything else? So it's like this. So this is how FSpy imports its file like that. Okay. So it brings in a camera. It also puts a image on the camera, but you can see that image only when you see through the camera. Okay. So if you have a number pad, you can press 0 on it and it will basically zoom in and take you to that view. Or one other thing you can do is select the camera, right click, set active camera, you place on that, and then you come and see this. All right. So here, all the axes are made, all the perspective is sorted, and the scale is a little messed up, but we can take care of the scale later on also. So the first thing I will do is basically make at least import a plane and start modeling on top of this thing. So I press Shift A to add a new object, and let me just copy this. Full copy, live session. All right. So I'll just delete all of these. Delete. Okay. So Shift A, plane. So now I have a plane over here, but it is also hindering the visuals of our things. So if I press Shift Z, it goes into wireframe. So keep an eye on this top right, Shift Z, no, Shift Z, Shift Z. So it keeps switching between two things, okay? So now I have selected this plane. The plane has come over here. If you see on the outliner, I will press tab, so it will go into edit mode. So in edit mode, you have three separate modes, okay? So this is what Blender does. It has like very minute changes within minute changes within minute changes. So in edit mode, you have three separate things. Can you see this? The top right next to edit mode, it is written. So there is a vertex select, there is a edge select, and there is a face select. The shortcut to move among these three things are 1, 2, and 3 on your number pad. Not your number pad, but on your top row of the numbers that you have. 1 is vertex mode, 2 is edge mode, 3 is face select mode. So if you select vertex mode, you suddenly see there are vertexes coming onto your plane. Okay. This you will not see in your edge mode. There are no vertices, but you can select edges. Correct. And then the third, the face mode, there will be a small dot in the center. So you can select the entire face basically. So these are the three different selection methods on how to fine tune your things. So now let's make at least one part of the wall. No? So I will do one thing. I will go to object mode. Oh, how am I doing that? I'm pressing tab. I'm coming into object mode. Now, what I will do is I will try to rotate it on the x-axis. So how do I do that? Rotate is R. So it is rotating, but it is rotating on the plane of the viewport which I am in. So I want to constrain it to x-axis. So I'll press X, and then now it is constrained to X. So XYZ is RGB. Okay, X is R, Y is green, and Z is blue. So you can do this, and then I press 90. That is my number pad, or you can type 90 also. So, and you press enter. So it has turned into like it has rotated at 90 degrees. I press Shift Z so that you can have a better view. This is how it is. I press 0 on the number pad, so I'm back in the viewport of the camera. So you can select the camera like this also. You select the edge. You can select the camera this way. I'll go back and select the plane that I've just made. I will turn this into wireframe by pressing Shift Z. I will also go into edit mode by pressing tab, and I'll make sure I'm at vertex mode. I'll select this. I will press G. G is for move. So as soon as you press G, no matter where your mouse is, it is locked to the movement of the mouse. So how do you cancel this command? If you press right click, it will cancel the command. So I'm going to press G, but I want to constrain it to only X. So what I'll do, I'll press X. So now you see the X axis has been highlighted. So it is locked to X axis right now. So I'm going to try match the corner with what we have. Yeah. Okay, decent for now. I will try to match these two corners with this edge of the window. So G again, X. So it constrains, and I will match this over here. And then I'll select these two top vertices, and I will G, Z. So it goes up. It is locked to that place. And I can basically go up till I go out of the frame of the camera. Okay. Now have a look at this. So if I press Control R, you see this line. This line is basically new vertices that will be formed if I press left mouse button. So once you press left mouse button, it starts moving up and down. So you have to specify where do you want these new vertices to be placed at. If you don't want it to move, you have to right click and it will be placed in the center from the top and center from the bottom. Okay. Now I will control Z and do that again. Oh, control Y. No. Z, go up. Control R, loop cut. This is called a loop cut. I'll go up. I'll roughly place it over there. Okay, so it's a little off. So while it is still selected, I'll press G. So, but it is moving everywhere. But if I press G again, you'll start sliding again. Okay. So that is how you slide. If you press Shift, I'm not doing anything with my mouse. I'm not dragging or anything. It's just locked onto my position of the mouse. If I press Shift, it becomes fine-tuned. So the movement becomes like really small. So like that. And I'll select these two and I'll press E. E is for extrude. Okay, but it is extruding everywhere. I want to extrude it on the x-axis very specifically. So I'll press X and then I'll extrude to the point, like a little beyond the point. Let's see. So I can assume that the corner is over here because it like some mismatch is going to happen. We'll fine tune it later. Okay. So I'll press G to grab it, but it is moving everywhere. So I'll press X. And when I come close to the corner, I'm pressing Shift so that some fine tuning happens. And yeah, I'll drop it there. Cool. Then let's put another edge loop cut on this quadrant. So Control R, left mouse button, I'll keep it over here, very close to the sill. I'll see, yeah, it's almost there. Now I'll do the same thing. I'll select these two vertices. I press extrude it on the x-axis. So I press X. I will basically go a little ahead. It would be nice if these two align, if there is some way we can do that. There is a magnet over here, if you see on the top. And then there is all these different options. So this magnet is basically snapping. Where do you want to snap it to? So I want to snap it to vertices. So G, X, and if I go close to this, so you see this orange circle, so it is snapping to that. So it is reading that vertex. So I click there and then it has snapped. So I know for sure that this vertex and this vertex are in line with each other. All right, so the bottom one, I'll select these. I will bring them to this one. So I'll press G, Z, and bring it down. So you get the idea how to manipulate all of this, right? So I'll quickly make the grill over here. So how do I make the grill? I'll go out of the box, this object over here. And if I zoom out and press Shift Z to change the viewport, you see I've made this already. So you have some section of the wall already made with just few steps, correct? So very efficient that way. So I'll just show you by doing the same particular thing, I have made, yeah. So this whole thing is made with that flow chart of how I made this. So I made rivets, the frame of the door. I have made this grill also. So this grill is very easy to make. I'll just quickly go to live session and I'll show you how to make the grill. So there are something called modifiers in Blender. But before that, let's make some kind of a recess over here. Okay. I press 0 on my number pad. So it brings me back to the camera view. I press Shift Z so that it all goes into wireframe. I'll press Tab and go into edit mode. I will select one vertex and I will close this by saying extrude, and I'll go close to this so it will start snapping to the vertex over here. But here is a very important lesson. In this very particular spot, there are two vertices right now. One, see, one is over there and the other one. So how do you merge this? So you select, so what I usually do is I press A, it selects everything, not Control A, A. So A will select everything. I right click. There's something called merge vertices. Okay, at the bottom section of the menu by distance. So any vertices which is close to each other, they're going to merge into one. And niche you will get a notification removed one vertices. That one removed vertices is over here. All right. Anyways, so now I'm going to select the right edge. I'm going to say extrude, but it is moving everywhere. So I need to lock it to x-axis. And then I'll roughly put it there. So now at least I have a wall over here, okay, with the thing. And I didn't have to measure anything. With the help of AppSpy, I was able to make this. Of course, the scale is a little messed up. We'll sort that out as we go ahead. So I press the open here. Now let's see a little bit. And scroll wheel and press, so it basically pans. It is similar to this hand icon over here. You press and move, drag, so it will basically do that. Or shortcut is shift and uh, so let me do one thing. Let's just add more 4 vertices. I will extrude in the Z axis. So this is also happening. So it's not Z, sorry, Y axis. So I will extrude it in this. Okay. So now I have here, I put the frames. Okay. I will go back. I'll press 0. Yeah. So now let's make. I'll press Shift Z. Now let's make these bars, these circular bars. So this is the center of the universe for Blender. Okay. In the center of the universe, there lies something called the 3D cursor. So I'll talk a little bit about the 3D cursor. It is a very specific tool, very unique to Blender. Give me one second. All right. So when I press Shift A, that is how you get new objects into the environment. I'll select a cylinder because we want to create a cylinder. When you select a cylinder, there's this pop-up. Can you see this pop-up? Hello. My screen has frozen. Let me try to rejoin. Gaurav, your hand is raised. Do you want to ask a question? Is my screen visible?
Hi, Madhu. We see that you are sharing the screen, but we don't see the screen. So maybe you can reshare.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure that out. Yes. But are you guys able to follow what I'm saying? Like, is information going in? Is what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. I know there's a lot of information dump which is happening right now, but like you understand. So I'm gonna go like full Zen mode now and like make something. Okay. So I think we have only like 15 minutes left. I really want to end this at 1 p.m. Maybe extend it a little more than all of that. But my screen is not being able to share. Let me just sort this out, okay? So you guys have seen the l- uh, let me rejoin again. So have you guys seen the drone wala thing? No, so there are others also. So we had 4 design internship teams with 8 participants, 8 interns, and all of them used Blender to create their videos for us. So we are in the process of launching them on the YouTube channels, and soon you'll be able to see them also. So these guys were already very familiar with Blender, and that is why they were selected for design internship. But in the future scope of things, the Yantra will again host a lot of competitions in which you guys can also uh, uh, take part. All right. Uh, I'm rejoining from my laptop. Give me 1 second, okay? Yeah, I'm back. So yeah, hi. So I'll share screen. Hopefully it should work. Is it working? Share. Vivek, Avijit, I need Avinash sir, I need help.
Okay. No, we are seeing. We see that. Okay, now we can see. Yeah.
Okay, it's come finally. Okay, cool. So let me just quickly go back. Now you can see this. Okay, let me do this again. We were left with this. We created, let me delete this. So I can delete with X and D. So I got so proficient with Blender that I have combined 2, 3 shortcuts and made this whole library of shortcuts for myself. Even you can do that. There are, again, lots of videos on how shortcuts, how you can optimize shortcuts and all that. So I'll press. So I think I'll go into the speed modeling mode because we have now 10 minutes instead of 15. Uh, so I'll press 0. I'll press Shift A, I'll press Mesh, and I'll select Cylinder. In the cylinder, you have this dialog box. You can select the number of vertices it needs to come, but I'll select only 12 because it's not very, like it's very small detail. So it's better if we reduce the count of the sides. So 12 it is, but it doesn't look anything like a grill. So we need to like change the orientation and scale of things, right? So if I press S on my keyboard, it will scale from all angles, but I want it to scale only from X and Y and keep the Z at least the same. So like X, if you want to scale it in X, you press X and it will scale in X. If you want to scale in Y, so is Z, like that. But if if you press Shift Z, everything, the Z will stay the same, but X and Y scaling will be still automatic. So then it makes it into a slender cylinder kind of a thing, which is very close to what we want. So I'll press R, Y, and 90. So this becomes horizontal. Now the cylinder does not know, okay, it has all these things have happened to this. So if I press right click, uh, you can basically press Control A, and this applies all this. So basically, this is information which says, ki, oh, all these transformations have happened to you. So this is your new way of living now. So you press all transform. So if something goes missing, or sometimes things don't work out, so try applying things. So Control A is basically applying things. So I'll go back to my this thing, my camera view by pressing 0. I will press G, Z, I will press G, Y, at least be, I want to be somewhere over here, right? So G, Y, all right. So, oh, why is it share? My screen stopped sharing. Yeah. So you saw what happened, no? So basically the snapping is on and it is active to snapping to vertices. So GX, GX. So if I go to this corner, it selects that. So it's basically there, but I want it to come to the center. So GY, I'll make sure I'm not close to any vertices and I'll eyeball it basically. I'll put it in the center or something like that. Now I press 0 and I'll go to the center of things. Now you see it's a little thicker than it's a little thicker than the image in the thing. So scale Shift X. Do you see what happened? So I'm playing with vertices. Take a Control Z, scale Shift X. So only X is constant, everything else like the Z and Y are scaling. So it makes big, thick or thin like that. I'll press 0 again. I'll press G, Z, and align it like that. I'm pressing Shift to fine tune things. I'll go into edit mode. I'll turn to wireframe mode. I'll select all these vertices which are on this. It is very important to basically go into wireframe mode, because if you're in the solid mode, only half the vertices will be selected. So if you go into wireframe mode, everything else will be visible. All right. So I'll press 0 again. I need this to go to till this end at least, or at least if I press at least till this vertex. So G, X, it is moving, and I go close to this vertex and it snaps. Perfect. So now I have one bar over here. Okay. Now, how do I make all of these? Should I keep modeling all of them? No, definitely not. So there is definitely a way of doing this. So there's something called modifiers. So modifiers are a set of operations which are very common to 3D modeling, like repeating things and all of that. So I press Shift Z so that it goes to wireframe mode. Modifier, there's in those modifier, there is something called generate. It generates new geometry. So I go to array and it already generated like one other of the same kind, but it is moving in the X direction. Okay, but I want it to move in the Z direction. So X I'll put 0 and Z I'll put 1. So you see there's, okay, this is not exactly what you want, but it's at least in the right direction. and there is a count of how many things you can. If I increase the count, this will also increase. So great. So let's increase the Z so I can drag left and right by click dragging. Now that density is too much. Let's reduce it. Let's go to our camera view. Let's eyeball it a little. Okay, like that. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, if I align this one, everything automatically aligns, correct? So if I press shift and then just like that, okay, I tweaked it a little, and now if I press shift Z, all your bar is already there. Neat. Okay, now I press 0 again. Now there is this flat metal member in the center which is keeping everything together. So I need that over here and over here. So how do I do it? So I'm not gonna import plane and all of that, vagara, vagara. No. The way I do it is basically I have this surface which is already there, which is already aligned, oriented, and all of that. So I'm gonna extract my information from there itself. So I'll press 3 on my number pad, which goes into surface select. I select this. Shift D basically duplicates things. Okay. It duplicates the thing which is selected. But if I right click, it will basically place it exactly on top of that. My screen stopped again. Has it stopped? Hello, anybody? Yours is visible, no? No, visible as in, is my mouse moving?
No.
There's some issue. I'll stop sharing and come back again. Yes, mouse is moving, thank God. Okay, so basically, so there's this other software, other surface which I made. So I'm going to convert this into this thing. Okay. So, but now we are in the wall object, right? But I want it to be a separate object altogether. So if I press P, no, if I'll place it exactly where it is by right clicking after doing Shift D, that duplicates, and right click will place it exactly where you picked it from. So it is there. There are two surfaces on this right now. But now that it is there, if I press P, there is a separate thing will come. So it says selection. So if I press selection, it has become a separate, but it is not orange. It is a little reddish orange. No, that is because you're in the edit view of the wall. So if I press tab, come out of the edit view. Now you see there is a separate. If I press G, there is a separate surface over there, which is generated and ready to go for you. So this is how this is my flow chart of things. So I'll go to the camera view. I press, that surface is selected. G, X, keep it there. And first of all, let me just edit this because I have to copy it and put it there again. So I don't want to do that twice. So I'll go into edit view of this particular surface. I press 2. This is the edge. I'll press G, Y, go like that. Select the other edge, G, Y, go back like that. And yeah, so it's like paper thin, right? There is no thickness to it at all. So let me do one thing. Let's add another modifier which is called a solidify. Very conveniently it is there. So as soon as you put it there, see, all of a sudden it is made it solid. So you can increase the thickness. So this is all procedural. You don't really have to model anything. You can turn it on or off if you want. So this is calculations which are happening, which you haven't basically modeled. But if you want to make it permanent, there is something, there is this drop down over here. You have to apply, or the shortcut is you hover over this, Control A, and that applies and becomes permanent. Okay. I don't want it to be permanent just yet. So I'll keep it like that. And I'll go to this view, Shift D, and I'll put it over there. So with very little effort, you have the grills made. And then, so I haven't modeled the back side of the wall, which is the outside of the whole thing, because we don't even require it. We need the interiors, right? We don't want the exteriors. So it's fine if we don't pay attention to that as of now. So using this method, this entire method, I created this thing basically. So you see, this is the set active camera. I'll press Control Z. So there are two cameras in this, one looking at the window. So you see all these things are lined up. The grill is also there. I have removed all of this. So this is one way of doing things. I've also added floor and all of that. And then if you select the other camera, so you see the other side is also there. So these are two separate models. Like for example, if I go there, do this. So this is one view. I selected this camera and made this side, and then I went to the other side. So this is the other view. So the orientation, if you see, both are facing the same direction, right? And let me just bring this down. So then I had to basically put a human over here. The resource is already there. And then I selected everything except the human and scaled it down. So select all, you press shift, select the human, click once, it becomes the primary object, then select, and then you select, and basically you deselect the human and everything else is there. And then I will place the 3D cursor at the center. So if you press Shift S, it gives you all this cursor information. So you can put the cursor in to the world origin like this. And then there is also like scaling happens from a point, okay? So you have to specify Blender which point is that. So that option is over here. All right. There is also a shortcut for this. If you press full stop on your thing, the same thing will come. All the things are there. So if I press full stop and I say 3D cursor, so scaling will happen from 3D cursor. So I'll show you something really trippy. If I press 0, where, oh no, the other 0, I guess, set active cam. I will select all by pressing A. I will select deselect the human by shift. Primary हो गया, वो चला गया, and the 3D cursor is at the center of the universe in Blender, and then scale. You see the human is becoming bigger small. That is because the camera itself is also scaling. Okay, so you basically eyeball how high a typical human looks. So this is if that is the door is generally 7 feet tall, and humans are 5'7", 5'8". So you can understand the proportions at which things are working. and this will be basically the way how to do it. So yeah, so that is how you do things. You don't even have to measure stuff. It needs to be in the same ballpark of measurement. It can't be like 1 meter versus 1 kilometer. It needs to be at least like 1.2 or 1.1 or something like that. All right. So we reached 1 p.m. and we still haven't been able to go to shading and texturing and lighting and all of that. Those are a separate thing altogether. But these are some things which can get you started, all right. There will be a few mismatches between these two models. Basically, so if you think this wall length is same as the window wall length, it will not align. There needs to be some tweaking happening. So I did all of that. So I'll just show you one over here. Yeah. So also, like in the larger ERTS lab example, I have divided these walls into separate uh, places. So how do you do this? I'll just tell you very quickly. So if you want these cabinets, and you want these cabinets on which one? This is the left wall. So if I press left wall, oh, everything also goes. The right wall is over here. So I have organized my objects in these cardboard boxes. These are called collections. So you can keep shifting. So I can make this human part of the right wall collection. All I have to do is select the human, press M, and then it opens a list of things. I can make a new collection, or you can put it on the right wall collection. So if I hide right wall collection, the human also goes away. Okay? Or I can put the human on the left wall collection, same human being selected. I press M, left wall collection. So in the left one, the human goes away, and the right one is there. So it's very easy to put one object into the other without even going to this side of things. Like press M, and then you select where you want to put it. So that is how you manipulate the outliner. This is called the outliner over here. And as you can see, everything is organized, clean, neat. Some things are sorted out. So I'll just show you a few things how to get assets and all of that. So this is fairly small model, okay? So I can go into material viewport. I have not put any material as of now, but you can very easily put material. Let me just hide this side of things. This is the right wall. Let me hide that. Okay, so now it has opened up very nicely. This is the wall. This is the entire wall. So how do I add material to it? First of all, you have to create a material in Blender. So let me just pull this down. So this BMW-like looking logo over here is basically a sphere with material texture on it. So there's something called new. So you have to create a new material. Let's call this material. So all this, so much information is there, okay? But don't worry about it. For now, all you have to do is basically name the material. This is the left wall. So I'll call it just left wall. Color. Correct? Then I'll make it a little larger. So this is base color. So if you manipulate this, the entire thing basically changes. Okay, I'm gonna put something nice, not beige at least, something orangish. So I'll be very careful to not oversaturate things. I want to make it look like that. So see these colors. So in architecture, if you ever been in any place, you will not be able to live in a house where every wall is bright. So they need to be very subtle colors. So even when where you are sitting right now, they need to merge into the environment. So but we are using some kind of a color which is popping out, right? But it is not totally popping out. It's like subtly popping out. I hope I'm making some sense. So this is the door frame. Now the door frame doesn't have any material. See, I'm on the material tab. There is no, so I can probably create a door frame material. I'll rename it to door frame. Enter. And what color do we want over there? Do we want the doors to pop out, or do we want it to merge into the wall? Let's suppose we want to merge into the wall. Then one way is basically selecting. Okay, something like this makes sense. They're of the same family, but they're still separate, but they're of the same family. So then these are so how do you rename objects? So select the object, press F2, you have the object name, you can rename it whatever you want. So I definitely do not spend a lot of time over here because whatever I do, there is a way of moving ahead. So just in case you're not able to work on things and somebody else has to take over your model, they need to understand the system. There needs to be a system of how things are being arranged. So uh, so each person has their own. You can develop your own. This is mine. This is how I work. So let's put another material, door color, door panel color. I'll make this too much. Yeah, and make it a little darker. Yeah. Okay. So all of a sudden you see before and after effects of things, I guess. So this is basically an asset. So I'll tell you, so I've told you before, no, we have a very limited space. So the objective is to create as much storage as possible. So this I got from something called Blender Kit. So it's a pretty cool thing. I'll delete it for you guys just for the sake of explanation. It looks nice, but no. Okay, bye. So go to edit, go to preferences, go to Blender, go to add-ons, then say Blender Kit. So I've already enabled it. So you have to go enable it. It's already pre-installed. You don't have to do anything. Then this cool thing comes on top of your Blender. So I will type cabinets and I'll press enter. So it will search the internet, it will search for its library and see it's written over here. Blender Kit is searching. I've also put a filter, free first. So all the free assets are going to come pehle, okay? As soon as it comes. Found 319. So there is this eye icon. If you open the eye, suddenly all so many things are. So if you hover on it, you will get so many assets. But we are looking for assets which make sense to our context. Okay, this is a lab which needs to be energetic for people to come and see. So this looks like a very decent poppy color kind of a thing. Let me just download this. All I have to do is click, and all of a sudden it'll start downloading this wherever the 3D cursor is. So 3D cursor is very powerful, yet it is very sly. You can't see it. So you have to be sure where you kept the 3D cursor. So uh, Shift S is all the options of the 3D cursor. Okay, so you can, it will generate only where the 3D cursor is. So it's something like this. There is an empty attached to this. So I'll tell you what an empty is. I'll select this empty. I'll press G. So empty is now being grabbed. So if I move the empty, everything else moves. So this is something called parenting. It's not a very new concept. In animation, everything is like that. So if you can select one box, you see the box is moving, but there's a dotted line which is connected. So basically, it is saying it is you can move individual collections. I'll press Control Z. You can move individual collections, but if you want the entirety of that collection to move, you have to move the empty this thing basically. And you can do everything to an empty. It will just not render basically. So if I move away all the overlays, so this camera will vanish, this 3D cursor will vanish, this empty will vanish. Just look. Yeah, everything is gone. So this is what is going to get rendered in the end. Okay. This is all construction lines which are not very significant. So I want it back to the 3D cursor. So I'll press Control S, selection to cursor. Where is it? Selection to cursor. So it will snap back to selection to. So this is how you move things around in Blender. Okay. If the snapping doesn't work, there is always 3D cursor is always there to help you. Okay. So I'll just put it to one side, rotate Z 90, G Shift Z so that it is stuck to the plane. So it is moving in XY direction. So you can keep adding things to your, it is popping out a little. I don't care because render mein nahi dikhega. It's like that. So let's make that like in PureRef we had so many nice images, no, like these. So let's make at least one side of things and we can end it there probably. So I want something for people to sit on. Okay, so let's check for bookshelves. Open the eye, come on. Blender kit is searching, let it search. Oh, these cabinets are nice. Any doubts at the moment? Guys? Oh, there's a connection error. Hello? Am I audible?
Audible and visible.
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Our mouse isn't moving, right? There is a network issue. Give me 1 second. Okay, we are extending this meet a little more than what we have expected. Ratin, what should we do now?
I think you need to come to a closer because people might lose interest if it gets
Yeah,
longer.
correct. So let's do one thing, Ratin. So all the things are already provided. So let's go towards the closure thing. So these are a few things which you will learn through practice. Okay. So I've told you about how to get free assets through Blender Kit. I've told you how to use XSpy. I have also shown you how to add at least preliminary color schemes in things. Don't use colors which are very saturated. Use very subtle colors because interiors, if you see even the images that are there, they're very subtle colors. They're not very poppy and all, except for that orange uh, ornamental stool over there. But anyways, so you see, you have to understand interiors a little. So they use wood a lot. They use whites because whites they have their edges. They tend to merge into the background. So you're not able to figure out the edges. So it's like a huge cloud kind of a thing. You're not able to understand. So white interiors make the space look bigger. Darker colors make the space look smaller. You can use vibrant colors to make the space look very energetic, or cool colors or wood and uh, cool colors to like kill the energy for some reason. You can make the space look more friendly by adding plants, woods, warm lights, smiling faces, lots, not lots of photographs, but photographs which make sense, which show ki there is some kind of a calming sensation. So figure all that out. Those things become the center of your thought process. Blender is just a tool. I have given you all the resources on who to follow, how to follow. So each of those YouTubes, they have a video on above it and below it also. They're part of a series. So this is just the beginning for people who are just starting Blender. Uh, I can't teach you everything, at least in this session. Uh, and I suppose me creating new content doesn't make sense because so much is already available. So please use that resource. Try to make something. Uh, like in the future, if eYantra proposes some kind of a design sprint or Blender session, so be a part of that. Have a goal so that you know what your objectives are. And once you get used to all the Blender things, then you can shift to shortcuts. And shortcuts are a very cool way of doing things. They like exponentially increase your productivity. So I can create all of this if only I didn't have to share my screen and losing my connection all the time. I would be able to like go through all of this in like 4 hours. Like I have a principle where if you want to learn some new software which is skill oriented and time spending, try to sit on it for at least 4 hours at a stretch. That way you'll be able to like finalize the concepts in your head. So I've tried this in my architecture school and it worked for me. And after a while, Blender is a very delightful place to live in, right? So many things are possible. Like you've seen that drone video which I've given you. There are particles, there are simulations, there are physics. Mm, there is fog, volumetric, so many things can happen. Just start exploring Blender and yeah, hopefully in the next 6 months you can basically become a YouTuber on how to uh, do Blender by yourself. So there is a very in YouTube there are very little YouTubers who are Indian YouTubers. So I specifically made it a point to uh, be that put that into attention. So India needs YouTubers who people can trust. So yeah, please go ahead and do that also. Anyways, Ratin sir, I think we should end this because frankly speaking, like 1 hour or 1.5 hour is not enough to understand Blender, and there is a lot of resource out there, and I think I've done my bit over here. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. Your talk was always energetic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
I can
love showing new things. So nice.
yeah, I can understand that this 1.5 hour slot is very short for you. But
Correct.
anyway, we'll plan in future how we can provide better to the participants. So just a quick announcement. The quiz link is being posted in the chat box. You have 10 minutes to answer it. It will not take longer than 5 minutes though. After this, we'll close the quiz link as well. Please participate in that because this is the basis whether you will get a certificate or not. And once again, I would like to thank Madhu for this nice talk, and he has really given his time and dedicated himself over the night to prepare himself for you guys. So really thank Madhu, and I also would like to thank our eLSI team, Vivek Savanwar, Avinash Dubey, and Ruchi Sharma. So thank you guys for being with us for a long. Okay, we'll close the session now here.
Yeah,
So before
yeah.
we close the session, would everybody would like to, if you can turn on your video so that we can take quick
Take a
snapshots.
snapshot, no?
Yeah. Madhu, will you take that snapshot?
Yeah, I'm just figuring out how I can fit everybody into one screen.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a provision, so I'll take 4 or 5 snaps. Snaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Save to files. Save. Okay. Thank you so much for your patience. I see there are a lot of faculties involved. Are you guys faculties or are you like very wise students?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. So I took snaps of people whose videos were on only. Rest are only letters. So
Maybe
yeah,
just a quick question, please.
yeah.
Yep. So I would like to ask, what would be the basic system recommendations by you for using Blender and not face these issues such as, lagging system for textures or materials?
So Blender is something. So you have to understand Blender is a software which is very efficient in things, but it doesn't have limits. So it can do like multiple calculations, like millions of points of calculation. But if there are some ways, so I'll just tell you what my laptop has. It has a SSD to make it faster to retrieve information. It it has a Core i7, but it's an old generation. So Blender can work in any format. I think the way to do it is if you can create a strategy on how lagging doesn't happen. But if you have a gaming PC, basically every designer needs a high-end PC. It doesn't need to be completely high-end. Mid-range high-end is also fine, because we deal with visualizations, renderings, ray tracing, simulations, and all of that. No, so mostly gaming PC setups are what we strive for. So should that answer your question? No.
Yeah, that would definitely answer my question. And thanks for this session. Yeah, it was really helpful and productive, I would say.
Thank you so much. You were there since the beginning, and I hope you do wonderful things in Blender. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks.
yeah. Any other questions? All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this thing. This is my first ever technical session. Uh, the only way to get good at Blender is like keep interacting with it. So there are a lot of YouTubers who give like 15 minutes tutorial and making like small things. All you have to do is just keep following day in, day out. And in a month's time, you will be as good as anybody else. Even I am learning. I haven't completely uh, worked out the entirety of Blender. There's something called geometry nodes, which is like a really hyped thing in Blender, which I'm trying to figure out. There's a lot of math involved. So a very procedural way of modeling. So that is the hype in the design industry right now, where you basically set up parameters and the entire model changes according to that. So have a look at that, and if you reach that level, that'll be great. Yeah. Ratin sir, we can end, no? I think.
Yeah, we can end. Just a reminder to all the participants that we have got so far 10